Hello, good morning, afternoon. Hello, I am Lise Colucci, and I'm one of the life coaches at being.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships. Hello, today we're going to talk a little bit about taking control of your life after narcissistic abuse or toxic relationship abuse. So, hello, Karina, and anyone else that's here. Hello. Let's see. So let's start with a couple of things that were brought up about. Hi, Adur. How are you? Did I say that right? Otherwise, I'll call you 1231. Okay. So taking control of your life after narcissistic abuse, after toxic relationships, after being controlled, after the gaslighting, after the living your life for someone else and not having any ability even anymore to know who it is you are or what you want to do. So how do you do that? And what do you struggle with is more important. What do you struggle with in that regard? Hi, Life's Revival. You're saying that it's getting necessary things done keeps me feeling okay. Good. Hi, Bonnie. Hi. There's a Katrina and a Karina. Okay. Got it. Hi, you guys. So one thing is, well, let's see. Let's start with making decisions. Making decisions, any decision after you have been controlled can be very difficult. Hi, fashion family. It can make you confused about what's right and wrong. I'm going to read a few things that I have jotted down here. It can make you feel like your brain is mush and you can't make decisions, like you just can't. You may feel shut down, hopeless, kind of helpless, like you can't think. Might worry about feeling like just worry. You might just worry. You might feel like you're afraid of messing up or of making the wrong decision, making the wrong choice. And it can be totally scary to step into something, to make a decision. You can have two positives in your life, two options, and both can seem terrifying because you feel trapped in how to make the right decision. And it can be a self-limiting trap, right? And the thing is that we know now, if we're out and we have gone through any amount of healing, we know that something in us, we feel sometimes made the decisions that led to our life, right? Which means we don't trust our decision-making skills because we've got a history or a past or what we perceive as a past of making decisions that lead us the wrong direction, right? In other words, we chose to be with that person. Now, we know logically that we didn't know what was going on and you can't know what you don't know, but there's a part of us that gets afraid and can't move forward or feels like it can't move forward. So my suggestion, hi, Hannah. I'm glad you love it. Hello, Bonnie. Edur, I will address living with a narcissistic mother after this. So remind me, okay? Because I tend to not scroll back real well. I'm not great at it. So I'm warning you now. Please remind me, and we'll talk about that a bit after this part so I don't get all over the place. Yeah, so let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything here that trying to get back to the old you before narcissistic abuse, identity theft by the narcissist. That's pretty much what this is, right? Trying to get back to the old you, or even a new and improved you that now knows that, now has wisdom and knowledge behind the old you stuff, right? So anyway, with all that feeling of, you can hear in that, if I just say, I'm shut down, I'm hopeless, I can't think, I don't know how to make a decision, I'm worried I'm going to do the wrong thing. Can you hear the limiting beliefs in that? I can hear the limiting beliefs in that. I can hear that where a person who is stuck there is coming from, perhaps is from a place of limiting beliefs about themselves, about their capabilities of making decisions, about the fact that decisions they've made in the past have led them places they don't want to be, that their lives are not perfect now, and therefore they've made decisions that got there. You know what I mean? Like, we build ourselves up to thinking we can't actually make a decision. So let's look at healthy decision-making skills, or ideas for how to make decisions. Sometimes when you have a limiting belief, but you can actually justify that limiting belief through the proof of the things that have happened in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you say, I always fail at blah, 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 and you can prove that you always fail at it because you have a track record of failing at it, it's really hard to shift that limiting belief to, I can totally succeed at that thing, without a different strategy. So sometimes when we're stuck in our limiting beliefs, and when we're stuck in the pattern of having been taught that we make poor decisions because we are controlled and manipulated into believing so through narcissistic abuse, it's adapting to other people's strategies, or looking at strategies that are ways that go beyond the feeling level, so that you can get some movement toward the decision you're trying to make. Is that making sense? So some ideas are, what are your views about the thing? Write them down. What are your views about the thing you're trying to make a decision about? If it's getting a new job or buying a car or whatever it is, whatever that decision is that you're struggling with, what are your views about it? Write it down in one paragraph. Don't elaborate. Don't put a whole lot of emotion. Just your views. What do you believe? What do you want? What do you see it? What's the vision you have for that decision? Another one would be talk it out loud with people. Writing it is good too if you don't have people to talk to out loud. Get some support. But before you do that, I would make a list of pros and cons. I mean, that's the basic, right, decision-making tool that people use. And so before you talk it out, make a list of pros and cons so you know where you're coming from. So you're not talking it out through emotion. You're talking it out through actually trying to make a decision. I think sometimes what happens when we are stuck in the limiting belief mode, where we go into this sort of PTSD mode of spaced out, can't make a decision, freaked out, trauma, overwhelm, it's really hard to speak from a place of success. You're going to speak from the place where you feel, which is terrified and indecisive. So in order to get a clear vision, try to speak to people from a place of actually asking, what do you think is better? Not, can you please prove that what I'm thinking might happen actually will happen? Can you please prove the bad so I can just make the decision of no? You know, so if you want to actually make a clear decision, make your pros and cons list, then talk it out. So you're speaking from a place of a more logical view, right? So what are your hopes? So once you've figured out logically and you've put down what your vision is, what are your hopes? Bring in the emotion. What are your hopes for this decision? What are your hopes? How could it be good and how could it go wrong? What are your hopes? But more than the going wrong, what are your hopes for it? Does that seem achievable? Okay. Then ask yourself why 5 times. I love this. Why? 5 times. Okay. I want to take this job. I'm thinking about taking this job. Why? Because it's got better hours and it's pays better. Why is that important? Because I need the money, because I really like the extra time off to do whatever in the evening. Why? Oh, because I'm trying to improve myself. I want to go back to school, or because I'm trying to whatever. Why? So you keep going, go deeper and deeper and deeper into your own questioning of why you actually want to do the thing. If you stay on the surface, it's really hard to get to the meat of what you're trying to decide, right? A lot of our lives are on like really deep levels and we don't realize it. We act very surfacely all the time, right? But really we're living our life from a deeper place. We're just not going there. So why? 5 times. Get 5 levels deep into your question. That takes you out of the limiting beliefs. It forces you into actually following your own train of thought and actually gaining some self-agency, your decision, your choices. You can do that first, then talk it out loud with someone else. Get some awareness and understanding of what it is you want, not just on a surface level, but deeper until you get to sometimes you may get to the point where this will make me feel like aha, there's a nice deep feeling, right? So see what happens. Another thing, before you make any decision that is stressing you out, meditate. Do some mindfulness meditations and get yourself out of the spinning your wheels mode and into a more centered and grounded place. So that's what I got on decisions. I'm going to read some of what you guys are saying, and then I have another couple topics, and then we'll go on to you guys too. Okay. Hi, Sweet Pink. I'm here for this. It's just past the anniversary of my narc mom's passing. She used to bombard me about my decisions to basically make my mind up for me. That's been my biggest challenge, deciding. Okay, so was anything that I said useful for that is different from what you maybe do already? And if not, what specifics do you have questions on? Because I like specifics, because then I can actually talk to a person. And then talking to one person helps lots of people. So anything you want to add, Sweet Pink, go for it. And if that was, okay, one thing I'm going to say about decision making, it's a really tricky place to let go of, but I already know what's going to happen. Right? So as I'm telling you, try this. That won't work. We don't know till we try, right? And it may not work. It's not for everyone's not going to have the same strategy. My point is, look for strategies. Look for strategies other people use in making decisions. Google how to make a decision, and look up lists of decision making. There's so many. I could have done that and gotten, I don't know, a page just to talk about making decisions. And pick and choose and actually try them. Don't just think about them, but try them as if it's a strategy. This isn't right or wrong, yes or no. It's playing with strategies to find the strategy that works for your life. A lot of times when we don't know how to make a change, it's looking at people who know how to make the change, right? People who know how to do that one thing. Like if I don't know how to bake bread, I'm not going to go to someone who's never baked bread. I'm going to watch people who bake bread, and I'm going to say, oh, look, that's how they do it. Okay. I see how their hands move. I see how they, you pay attention and observe their strategies and their techniques. So that's just how we learn. And it's how we learn from little babies, and it's how we will continue learning. It's how we learn the programming. And what we're trying to do is deprogram, right? And reprogram into something healthier. Hi, Andy. Meditation is good, and pattern interrupt from ruminating thoughts. Yes. And that's why I'm saying I think all of those other tips really are pattern interrupting, because what we're doing when we're going, my brain is mush, I'm shut down, I feel helpless, and all of that, all of the list of what the limiting beliefs make you feel like in your own personal ones, that's when we're stuck in a pattern. So we got to pattern interrupt by shifting that strategy. So much of life is changing your perspective. If you don't shift your perspective, you're just going to live in the same loop, right? And it's not so much that you have to have a new perspective, as in, I now feel like my brain is clear and and I'm not shut down at all. I'm wide open to any possibility in the world. That'd be wonderful to go from one to the other. But sometimes it's just getting room around the fact that that's not everything, that what you're feeling, all this emotion, all this stuck in emotion is not everything. And depending on your personality type, it's going to be more difficult for some than it is others. The feelers, the big emotional feelers like the ENFPs and the INFPs are going to struggle harder, at least in my experience, because the identification with the emotion is so strong. And that's okay, because the intuition is there too. So it's getting more room. We need more perspective in a bigger way. Like we need to see that there's other options. We need other strategies to be possible. There we go. Keep going. I'm 10 months no contact from my narc mom. She is a beast, but it's hard to come to terms with having such an evil, controlling it really is. And we're going to talk more about narcissistic mothers, I think next week. I have a couple topics on that. So anything you want to add, any questions or whatever, hit me up in the main comments, not in the chat because I won't see them here, so that I can address them when I talk about it. Or come and talk about it live, which would be even better. Or do it now. But I'm going to keep going with this and then we'll come back. let's see. I have Sweet Pink says, I have a family that has really helped me figure out what is emotionally driven or logical. My mom would also go for emotional stuff and put us in bad money hole and trying to find what the real world had been a challenge. It stems from major loss of my father and grandparents, so we would do things for my sister. Okay, yeah, that's let's see. Oh, I lost here. It just jumped. Hi, Jack. No contact helps a lot to clear the fog. It does. But sometimes the fog is, the PTSD part can stick. Sometimes we're no longer trauma bonded. We're completely fine. But as soon as we're triggered, and we're going to talk about the next topic is about this, is when you're in distress, how to deal with being in distress, how to have stressful situations hit you hard and you're triggered and you're in reaction, how to calm down and take control of the situation within yourself. So that's kind of where decision making is leading. And this is a good segue here because no contact does help to clear the fog, but the PTSD part can be re-triggered by something triggering, by something even exciting, by something that forces you to make a decision, by something that is distressing that you have to deal with, by things that aren't necessarily toxic or narcissistic. They're just a pain and they're hard. And so then all of a sudden you're thrown back into the same, pretty much the same thing of the brain mush and the shutdown, but then, add on top of it, reactionary response, because of, instead of the shutdown that comes with lack of decision making, when you're in distress and you've got triggers, you're shut down and you're activated at the same time. So your cognitive functioning is shutting down while your reactions are ramping up. And so you get the emotional flip, right, happens, and you get super reactionary to the situation. And then it's hard to be yourself. And again, make a decision and create something you want out of the situation, or to try and even function in the situation. So let me read what you guys are saying here, and then we'll go to triggers and being distressed. Okay, self-doubt is my narcissist legacy. I spent so much time being gaslit, enraged, and struggled to relearn the self skills like self-validation and self-confidence and self-reliance. A lot of this is what we're talking about, Fashion Family. It is about regaining your sense of self-agency, and you do that through learning skills of self-validation and confidence and reliance. And a lot of it is trial and error. Being okay with, like, one thing that here, being afraid of messing up, being afraid of making the wrong decision. We're not perfect. Not every decision we make is going to be perfect. That's not how life works. We're not here to go up a ladder. It's like seamlessly up this ladder until there's some ultimate success at the top. Life is not like that. Life is like more like mountain climbing, where you go up and down rocks and you go through valleys and you go back up and you go back down, you go back up and you go back down. And maybe there's a peak, maybe you don't get to the peak. You know what I mean? It's not, it's like there isn't a destination that we're aiming for. We're aiming for a life that feels fulfilling and like we're thriving. But even when life is fulfilling and thriving, there's hard times. There's things that happen. There's coping that we have to do. That doesn't mean we reach this utopia and this ultimate ecstatic life, right? We think, so maybe that goes back to, what is your vision? What do you vision? How do you envision your life? And what's realistic? And letting go of the perfectionism that comes around worrying about making the wrong decision. There is no perfect decision. There's two paths sometimes. Sometimes there's 5 paths. It doesn't matter. There's a million paths. There are paths that can be taken from every decision that you make. There is no, there definitely can be wrong ones. All the red flags are there. Someone's a narcissist or someone's toxic, and we go hang out with them anyway. That might be a wrong decision when you know better, right? When you know. When you don't know, you don't know. But when you do know, then you're making it, and you're actually making the choice. Should I do this? That might be the wrong choice, right? But when it's a matter of you don't know the outcome, should I take this job? Is it better than the one I have? How do you know? How does anyone know? You can ask the questions you need to ask. You can weigh the pros and cons that you can see, but you can't know if it's the right decision. And you have to let go at a certain point of worrying about messing up, because it's not it's not about you messing up. It's about the situation. And what we learn to do is navigate. If it becomes where it's toxic or it's not right or it's not good, even if it's stepping into a new relationship and you realize it's toxic, what you do from that point on that makes the decision you made in the beginning the right or wrong one. If what you do at that point on is you say, forget this, and you get out, or you say, you know what, this job sucks, and you find another one, that's when you realize that that's what life's decision making is about. It is about change. Nothing in life is like one thing. I'm going to get this one job and everything will be good. I'm going to find this one person, everything we want. Change happens. It's life. And we, as abuse survivors, we don't like that. We want to like control it all and make it so nothing bad ever happens. But it's not real. It's not real. So letting go of that can help with the decision making. It can help with what you were talking about, the feelings of doubt. Because what are you doubting? Why are you doubting? What are you saying to yourself, Fashion Family? That was really long to describe what you said. But anyway, does that make sense? And I'm wondering what it is you say to yourself and how that functions with you. And also, that's a great thing if you are ever able to do the group coaching on the Wednesday nights or the Friday mornings. The group that's going right now is the Evolving Transformation and Evolving group. That's a really, really, really great topic to have coaching with if it's something you need or want in your future. And that group will be ongoing as long as there's people in it. So, and it's a great group of people. So anyway, there's that. Let's see. Okay, oh my goodness. Okay. I lost the stream of where we're going. All right. Okay. There we are. Now that you're in charge, you don't know how to term. Is what I'm saying helping with the decision stuff, Sweet Pink? If not, what is it you tell yourself that is different from what I'm saying? The topic, Jack, is regaining control, taking back control after narcissistic abuse, toxic abuse in your life. Taking back control, covering things like making decisions, how to handle triggers and distresses. The feeling of wanting to slip back into a friendly relationship with a narcissistic co-parenting situation. Ooh, yeah. You know the feeling if you've ever been there and you just want the peace. So those are the three things I have here, but anything else related to that or similar, hit me up. I think my sister's toxic Karina saying, I'm having a hard time getting along with her. And she talks about me. And then when I defend myself, she accuses me of getting mad and says I'm too sensitive. So what have you learned from all of this that is a way you can learn to speak to her so that you're not engaging? Starts with a G. Gray rock can be used in toxic situations. It doesn't not necessarily mean that person has to be a narcissist or that you know they're narcissistic to use it with them. Gray rock can be a technique. I wouldn't use it as severely as I would with someone that you know gaslights you all the time. I would use it in a more polite, and I'm not going to go into this conversation right now. Let's talk about it when we can both be more rational type of thing, in a more I wouldn't defend myself in the way maybe that you would want to. I would point out the fact that I do not like that she is talking bad about you, period, instead of defending yourself. Does that make sense? And instead of being angry, maybe gray rocking the emotional part just for the moment. It's totally legit to be angry, but just to get your point across, because if she's going to turn the table and she's going to gaslight you, then it doesn't do any good, right? So that has not worked. What's a different strategy? What's the strategy you would use with someone who's being unreasonable and not listening? That's what I would do, and see where that takes you. Because sometimes people are just going through stuff and they're lacking empathy in the moment. Doesn't necessarily mean they don't have any, right? I don't know your sister. Maybe she is toxic. Maybe she is. Or maybe she's going through something. So until you know, and to keep safe, I would use the techniques that you would use on a narcissistic person. on a very polite and congenial level until you can see what's happening. Does that make sense? I wouldn't let, and then if it proves that she is toxic and she keeps going, then we know that there is a no contact or a very limited contact thing that needs to happen, right? Yes, triggered during holidays, birthdays, hearing that the narcissist was still talking behind your back, right? Okay. 7 teenagers broke your window and gave me a load of abuse, and I called the police and felt sick. Oh my gosh. Why'd they do that, Jack? What was that, just rowdy, raucous behavior, or was that something personal, or what happened? I'm sorry. That's awful. You felt unbalanced. The crazy thing was I felt like I had done something wrong. Okay. I felt the guilt when the police asked me what happened. Isn't that interesting? Do you know where that comes from, Jack? I mean, do you know how far back that goes? Oh gosh, that's tricky to do without actually talking to you. So do you know, so what's important here is that you're okay, and you're saying you're okay, you're just shaken, which is good. And you're feeling unbalanced, which makes sense. So look at the unbalance. What is it? I think you possibly are feeling unbalanced. That's kind of a cognitive dissonance, right? You're feeling like that's completely wrong, and part of you wants to probably be really angry that happened, and another part of you is feeling this guilt and like you did something wrong. Why is it that you feel you need to take on the weight of other people's transgressions? There's my question. Okay, that's it for you, Jack. Why? Hi, Butterfly Mama. What if, where'd it go? What if female family narcissists show up at my daughter-in-law's baby shower? I can't tell her not to invite them, but I don't know how I will react. Okay, so do you have friends that'll be there with you? Do you have somebody there you can tell, hey, if someone shows up, I'm going to just buddy up with you for a while so that I don't have to talk to them? Do you have someone you can kind of like a buddy for the day? If not, you take breaks, you get away from the situation. If you feel yourself triggered, you walk away, go outside, get some air, busy yourself with something else. Don't look the toxic person in the eye as much as you possibly can. Avoid the conversations with them. Have ideas for what you will say if they do talk to you, what you won't talk about. So in other words, you set boundaries ahead of time. Keep the conversation as gray rock as you can, as limited as you can if you have to talk to them. If they bombard you, just excuse yourself. Just say, I'm sorry, busy yourself. Have something in your hand that you can say, oh, I got to go put this down, or oh, excuse me, I need to, blah, blah, blah. I need to go do the dishes, whatever. Get yourself, busy yourself, keep away from them as much as possible. Regardless of whether they do or don't show up, Bonnie, have something for yourself for when you get home, some kind of self-care idea, a hot bath, something you're gonna do it. Take a hot shower, take a hot bath, have your favorite comedy on Netflix queued up and ready to go. Have some treat or something for yourself, fit food or something nice for yourself, just like a prize for putting up with it, something for yourself, your favorite, change your sheets, do some, whatever it feels good to you for the evening, do it ahead of time before you go so that when you get back, you're taken care of. That's self-nurturing. Okay. That's my ideas for that. Okay. My ex-narcissist was my first and only. I've isolated myself, but I'm living with my narcissistic mom. She controls the money, and every time I try to find a job, she sabotages me. I'm 27 and have no work and no hope. So start working on that hope, hon. That hope is... Okay, you said depression, agoraphobia, CPTSD, and I'm constantly scared. Plus, I'm constantly worried. What if I'm the narcissist? What if I'm wrong? Because that's how we feel, right? That's how we feel. If you're the narcissist, you'd be out there doing your thing and taking advantage of people. That's probably how you know you're not, right? Because you are being used and abused. And not able to get, so it doesn't matter if you're wrong about a diagnosis, you can clearly see that what you're living in is toxic. So let go of that if you can. The depression, if you are able to get to a therapist or someone for the depression and agoraphobia, that would be useful for you. As far as, so at this point where you're talking from, Adur, I would say that self-care sounds silly. It sounds like nothing, but it really is the place, a place to start building your own worth for yourself, through yourself, and by yourself. And that you can do in any situation, regardless of the control that's going on around you, because a lot of self-care comes from our intention on how we do things. In other words, they aren't stopping you from things like taking a shower, most likely. So when you take that shower, and take that time as your own. You're in there, you're got the water temperature the way you like it, you're going to think the thoughts you want to think. You acknowledge to yourself that you're caring for yourself. Those things build up to, I've had people who haven't been able to leave a narcissist in highly toxic situations simply start focusing on the way they take care of themselves, and they start to gain hope. Okay, it doesn't fix the situation. The only thing that fixes the situation is getting out of it, right? But it starts to help someone gain hope. And if you start to gain hope, then you can start to make some motion. Otherwise, a domestic abuse shelter might be an option to talk to if you can't get to therapy, or if you can't get out, because it may be something that helps you move forward, right, to get out of that situation. Okay. When decisions come up, I get triggered and I want to crawl back into my safe hidey hole. Yep. Like even the smallest ones set me off. I like what to do today, or what do I want to eat? What do you tell yourself, Sweet Pink, when that happens? What's going on in your head? What are the thoughts that are holding you back? What are the words you say? Is it, I can't, I don't want to? What is it? I think what happens is, there's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And that is the anxiety response to trauma, right? That's panic, that's anxiety. And it sounds like you're stuck in freeze. You're in the freeze, stuck in the freeze. What happens in the freeze? How is that safe? Why is it safe? How has it served you? And how can you let it go? Because motion is what you need, right? You need to move forward in tiny, tiny decision makings. Make a list of to-dones, like not a to-do list, but a to-did list. And look at that list of the things you did make decisions on at the end of the day. Just write down the things you did. I mean, literally, even if it's, I walked to my mailbox and back, it doesn't matter, anything, write them down. Look at that list and see what you did do. It's gaining trust in your decisions, gaining trust in yourself for being able to make them, allowing yourself to make mistakes, allowing yourself to make decisions, it's baby steps toward the goal. All right. Okay, what are we doing here? If narcissists show up at daughter-in-law's shower, I will be triggered. Don't know what to do. Did I answer you, Bonnie? I think I did answer that, right? Or I gave you some ideas. Boundaries. I don't think I can stay if the narcs are there, but I also can't make a scene. You don't have to make a scene. You can simply leave. You can simply say, oh, excuse me, I have to go now. Or maybe think of a really good reason to leave beforehand so that you have an out. Having an out is great. Yeah. It's appropriate and it's okay. Can I go get up in their face? No. Let's see. A bottle of wine and Rodney Dangerfield on TV. Perfect. Sounds good. Sounds relaxing, right? And funny. Funny's good because laughing it off. I think laughter is my favorite therapy, honestly. I think it's what brought me out of all of it, is my ability to laugh came back and I couldn't stop laughing. That's why I'm always laughing and smiling. And partly I also realized today that my humor is a form of dissociation. And we'll talk about that another time, but it's not bad. It's not a bad thing, but it truly does keep me emotionally safe a lot of times. Okay. Get away from narcissistic moms. They are the worst. Yes, yes. Fashion Family says, I force myself to vocalize my internal voice. I don't hold my tongue anymore. When she gaslights, I tell her to go pound sand and move on. That's right, because you can't get out of the situation. So finding your own voice and trusting yourself, it's really hard when you're constantly being sunk back under by the narcissist being around. So I would keep a journal of things that you are proud of, things that you love about yourself, things that you don't, the things you want to share so bad with your partner, but you can't. Keep them in a journal. Share them with yourself. Share them if you want to read them to friends, if you want to post one here now and then, if whatever you need to feel heard. But hear yourself, hear the good things in yourself, because that'll help you make, it'll help you have a sense of your own self, which then helps you make decisions and stuff in life. Okay. That self-nurturing has been extremely difficult. My mom put herself last constantly. So I have an example of how to take care of myself. I didn't say it was easy. If it was easy, I wouldn't have to say it every single stream, right? Seriously, it's not a matter of whether it's difficult or not. That's what we got to get out of our heads sometimes, is that this work on self isn't easy. It's hard. Let that go. We know it's hard. Do it anyway. Promise. Do it anyway, little bits. If it doesn't work, stop doing it. Try it for a week. Try it for a month. Try for a week. See if you feel anything. If you feel nothing, move on. If you feel something, keep up. It's picking and choosing strategies that work for other people and applying it to yourself and letting go of what doesn't work and keeping on going with what does work so that you can get there. But holding on to the belief that this is really difficult is a limiting belief. Does that make sense? It's been proven true. And frankly, it is difficult for most people. And it's difficult because we have all these limiting beliefs holding us down. And that's one of them. So acceptance of the fact that, yeah, this is difficult. So is that mountain there, but I'm going to climb it. You know what I mean? So is that class that I need to take, but I'm going to take it. It's okay. It's okay that it's difficult. Just keep going and know that you're not alone in that at all. I'm cycling so hard right now. I'm finally crying. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry you're crying, but I'm glad you're crying. Is that, hug yourself there and give yourself something you need, Edur, to feel heard and feel nurtured while you're crying, after you're crying. Little things that help you feel nurtured is where the self-care can start. It's where the self-care is. All right. My mom was in prison when I was 8, twice for shoplifting. I had to help her. I'd been a minor in trouble with the law and the shaming from the family and exes. Okay, so that's where your feeling of you're always at fault comes from, Jack? And you feel guilty around police. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Can you see the contrast of the situation now? Basically, can you see that by telling the police what happened, you're trying to carry the burden for people so they don't have to feel what you feel about yourself? Does that make sense? And that's not your job. Your job is to take care of you, right? They got to be accountable. Letting other people be accountable for their actions is a huge boundary. It's really okay. Back to it's hard. Yeah, it's hard because you're up against your own triggers. But that's how you heal those triggers, is you let it hurt a little. Let it hurt. Let it be uncomfortable. Take some breaths and do some self-care around the action of what they did to you, which is completely awful and anger provoking. And if you feel anger, that's okay. And allowing the feeling of trying to carry their burden for them while you're setting that boundary and forcing them to be accountable for their own actions, right? It's tricky stuff. But that's how you reset the neural pathways, right? You do it anyway, and you let yourself feel it. Let yourself feel what you need to feel, and then you process instead of repress. Okay. Uh, okay. Let's see here. Oh, it jumped again. All right. I'm glad I'm funny. Okay, because that's where we go. Okay, my humor is a form of dissociation too. I never realized it till you said, isn't it? It is a form of fawning. It's a form of fawning, but it's also, for me, it's not so much fawning as it is because I notice when I'm doing it and I don't really care. Not that I don't care what people think. It's more, I don't want them to see me. But that's a part of me I don't care if anyone sees, because that part of me can play the fool and the buffoon and whatever, and it's just funny. Right? And so it protects me from letting someone deeper in. Aha! Caught that one today talking to someone, and I was talking to someone, just totally off topic, but I was chatting with someone and they said, why won't you just say something nice to me? And I thought, well, what? Because it's a personal thing, right? And I thought, I always say nice things. What are you talking about? I'm like, I'm not unnice. And I realized what they meant was, why don't you validate what I'm saying to you? Because they were saying mushy, nice stuff. Why don't you validate what I'm saying to you by repeating back to me something equally mushy and nice? Instead, I'm like throwing jokes and humor and like changing the topic. It's my form of topic changing. And I caught it and thought, oh gosh, okay. So this is an example of going against the grain, what I'm talking about, going against what you feel you should do because of your past programming. And I said, okay. And I said something nice, simple, but nice. And it was really uncomfortable. And I instantly wanted to crack a joke. I think I did actually crack a joke about how I crack jokes. So, it's going to take a while. But it's an interesting one. It actually makes me super uncomfortable to think about. Wow, it's good. I like when I find a spot that I can push into. Okay. And it's not a really horrible one. It's humor. I don't want to let go of the humor, and it's okay that I use it in that way because it is a form of self-protection that isn't hurting anyone. Right. And we do need to keep boundaries and distance, but being aware of the fact that I'm doing it is interesting. So, okay. Yes, Lise, a cage match fight with narcissists at a baby shower might be epic, but definitely not socially acceptable. If it happens, will you film it? See? No. Seriously, it's not, not good for you is what it wouldn't be, right? And we want this to be good for you. Don't do it. Don't do it, says Angela, even though we're all giggling at it. All this healing leads to a lot of crying, and it feels like being washed and authentic, and it also feels shameless. It is. See, I'm actually feeling teary now because of this, because it's super cleansing. Somebody described it to me as crying out the poison, is really letting it out, let it pour out of you, especially when a trigger hit. Well, not a trigger, when truth, it's when truth hits you and you see it, then those tears come, not trigger from fear crying, but crying from that authentic, deep place that you're talking about. She said to me, it's like letting the poison just flow out of you. So, and I like that. I gave you hope. Excellent. Excellent. That's your hope. You see how you said I gave you hope. That hope was already in you. Hold on to that hope. Write down one thing you can do. Feel that hope right now. Make a sentence out of it and then make a paragraph out of it. Not what it will be, what it is. Okay. In the moment. And that can be your little anchor to go back to when you're feeling hopeless. It may not mean much when you're feeling hopeless because it's hard to, but it's there. You say, I have proof. I felt that. Felt that. That was real. Okay. I would like to throw diapers is all I read, and then it went away. Okay. I'd like to throw some diapers at the diaper baby narcissist at the baby shower. No, Bonnie. You're doing the humor thing now too. Okay. No diaper throwing. Unless it's a game. No diaper throwing. You will try to restrain yourself. Yes. Keep the humor going in your head. That's useful too. It is. it's not a bad form of self-protection. It feels good. It's like to me, it's akin to crying with the laughing. So if it works, right? Uh, all right. Film at 11. No. Okay. All right. Baby showers gone wild. Okay, you guys. So let's talk about the last thing here, which is when you are, you're welcome. You're welcome, Edgar. I'm glad you feel better for the moment. Good night. I'm glad that this is a good thing to go to sleep on with that hope. Excellent. Excellent. Let it bask, let your dreams bask in the hope, right? All right. Taking your control. So control can feel like it's slipping away when you are in a situation where you have to maintain contact with a narcissist. You are co-parenting. Let's just use that as an example, as the main example. You can apply it to any situation. It could be got to work together, you have a career, you have own property together, whatever. You have to maintain contact. And not only do you have to maintain contact, you have to maintain a working relationship with them. A co-parenting relationship, as minimal as it is still partially a working relationship because the well-being of the child is what matters. And so there is always the concern of what that narcissist is doing, their concern over where they have power over you and the child, blah, 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 back and forth, the power struggles there, the whole thing's real. And you can get to the point where it reaches a climax of chaos. Chaos settles and everything gets calm. It's not perfect. They're still being a jerk, but you just want to make peace. You just want to make peace. You feel the urge to be friends with them. Maybe you feel it's not so much like you feel trauma bonded as much as you did, and you want them back as a partner, but you just want the relationship to be a healthy, peaceful one. We have to remember that they are what they are and that isn't possible. What you have is a management situation, not a relationship. In other words, you have to manage the situation always. They can never be trusted because they will never change. And it's difficult because we get tired. It's exhausting. It's less exhausting, though, to manage it than it is to try and allow the fantasy of the fact that you can have a friendship with them to take over. That's way, way more exhausting. It doesn't seem like it at the time because it feels like the path of least resistance, but it's actually it's the harder road. It's going uphill when it feels like going downhill. It's one of those crazy streets where you're going down, but you're actually going up. You know, those mystery streets. It's that. We don't want the mystery street. We want to take the path of least resistance is the one where you're managing the situation and you stay in your own power by not allowing an emotional connection to happen again. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm talking about here is being aware that you're in that space of wanting it to be peaceful and wanting to befriend them. And this isn't, many people say this to me, especially after about a year or more of co-parenting when everything has settled and they seem friendly again, or they maybe don't seem friendly, but they're less toxic. Like it's just a little, maybe taken down one notch. And you think, okay, it would just be so much easier if we could all just get on the same page. You can't. There's always a power play. They will always be toxic. If they are as toxic as they were to where you were believing they have narcissistic personality disorder, that isn't going to change. Okay. And if it does, then there's some miracle and you still don't need to be their friend because they can have their own life. All right. Keep your emotions and yourself safe and keep your power by keeping the management going of the situation. It gets less exhausting when you get strategies and patterns to put into place for how to deal with certain situations so that you're not going into it emotionally. Does that make sense? Okay. Is that peacekeeper thing, INFJ thing also, INFJs and INFPs in particular, I think everyone does it. ISFP, all of the feeler deep, it's an empath thing, right? Anyone who has a high level of empathy wants peace. We are peacemakers, right? I think it's maybe less so with some INFJs, depending how strong the J trait is, because once that door slams, it's slammed. And we don't really want peace. We just want flatline, right? We don't want any waves at all. All right. I think it's honestly, I think it's a sort of codependent thing too. It's wanting them, it could be wanting, once the waves have settled, wanting something for yourself back, which isn't bad. It's just not possible with a narcissist, right? We should want something from ourselves back with the other parent of our child. That makes sense. Even if you're in a divorce situation and it's not a narcissist, right? You should want some camaraderie. When you see people who co-parent well, there is camaraderie, there's friendship, there's having each other's back, even if we can't be together as a couple. That can't happen with a narcissist. You are two separate islands raising this child together. And the well-being has to be of the child. So the most emotional piece that you can keep in yourself, the better, right? It cannot ever. Exactly, says Jack. Oh, hi Vicky, my ex narcissist who I co-parent our 22-year-old with, I go as no contact as possible, actually called me for my birthday Tuesday. Happy birthday Tuesday, to wish me happy birthday. I felt nothing and was shocked. Ah, good. It's good you felt nothing. It's shocking. Like, what are you doing? Right? Such the Hoovers all the time. And that's the thing. You set yourself up for a Hoover if you are friends with them. And here's another story I'll tell about trying to think you can be friends with them. So maybe you befriend them. Maybe you're in a friendly state with them. The other shoe's going to drop. You're setting yourself up for the same pattern of the other shoe dropping. Generally, what happens is they turn on you. And because you're not supply anymore, you mean you're giving them supply, but you're not main supply. You're not their source of supply. You're just some sort of, fringe supply. You're a significant type of supply because it now becomes the adversary supply. You're the adversary, and what, and even when you're friends again, it's still controlling and supply. However, forgot my point because it's 50 minutes in. What was it? Oh yeah, the other shoe's going to drop. And when the other shoe drops, they don't care. It isn't like it used to be. It isn't the drama and the trauma bonding and the back and forth pull. It's utter disgusting behavior, or totally just getting grumpy and not caring who sees it. Or, it's the mask is on, the mask is off. There's none of that in between stuff that you're used to. And that's when you realize, why did I try to be friends with them? And it happens. So you can try it if you want, but I advise not. Anyway. Okay, let's see. I'm civil with him because I have to be. Civil's okay. You can be civil, right? That's what I'm saying. It's you're keeping your emotional stance. When you feel like you want to be friends, that's not emotionally distant. When you feel like you can be civil, that can be emotionally distant. It's keeping your emotions, keeping it separate, business-like. You can be friendly in a business-like situation, especially for the well-being of your child, right? But you don't let your emotions fall in, and whatever it takes to keep those boundaries up, keep them up. When you go Bonnie's asking me, when you go no contact and the narcissist supply is drawn way down, what is the next usual move for the narcissist? Hoovers, meltdowns, victim stance. They might go, depending on the narcissist, mine went seeking women fast in a needy kind of way, knowing his approach, it would have been, oh, poor me, everything's sad. I feel, I'm happy, really a happy person. And I've just been through a lot, that kind of, to suck people in. Is that answering you? They flip the script. Yep. They flip the script. It's exactly what he did. He flipped the script and went and sought other supply with predatory methods, with the script flip. All right. Lise, I'm there now trying to be friends due to his financial control over me until I can get work. Exactly. You do what you need to. It's survival around a narcissist, and it isn't. So when you have a friend You meet your friend on on the terms of who that person is, right? When you have a friend and you're both empathic people, you know who they are, you know the things about them, you know their limits, their boundaries, their terms. They know your terms. In that healthy relationship, there's compromise within the terms, right? So that boundaries are clear, but then there's also the places you can compromise to make it fit as a friendship. With a narcissist, there is no give and take. There's only take. And so the friendship is all one-sided. It isn't friendship. It is always control. And it's always supply. So if you're being a friend with one, you have to play on their terms. That means if you want to not be emotionally invested, then you got to think like them. That's why it's dangerous. We don't want to think like them as much as possible. But you know how it is when you're trying to manage a situation, you have to think the way somebody else would think, and as much as you can in order to understand how to speak to them. Not to manipulate them or whatever, but just to understand like where they're coming from and how to approach them. Otherwise, our communication would be a big mess. But the narcissist doesn't do it back. And so it is a game, and it is playing with friends in quotes. Exactly. Okay. I suggested we go to parenting classes to get on the same page. She says there's nothing wrong with my parenting. See, you can't do it. They are the authority in their minds. Exactly, because you weren't even asking for changes in the parenting, just for a way to be on the same page. And they couldn't see it. That's right. Lisa, thanks. I hate it. I hate knowing him and being in the same planet with him. I know. It is hard. Yeah. And it is hard to think like them, and that's good. But it's all you have to do is think like whatever you think is going on. Remove empathy, not from yourself, but from the situation. Oh, there's no empathy here. That means this doesn't mean what I think it means, right? Taking that piece out is huge. It's like taking out kindness. You know what I mean? It's you taking out a piece that means everything to a relationship. And once that piece is out, then you can see that it really is management or no contact. And management by managing yourself, managing your responses, managing your expectations, your hopes for that person, for the toxic person. You can't really manage another person that's manipulating and control, but we manipulate and control, meaning we keep control of our own life, right? Keep control of our own space through the boundaries and through, is it making sense? Am I rambling because I'm hitting the hour mark? We're going to end here in a moment, you guys. Take the empathy away from the nar. Yep. Take the empathy away from the situation, whatever the conversation is, whatever the topic is. Remember, there's no empathy involved. It's just talk. It empties it. It becomes empty. And if it's empty, what's the point? There isn't one, except for to get through that moment onto the next. All right. Okay, you guys. Anything else? Anything you want to talk about in the next week? Let me know. And I'll try to get to it. I can't get to it all. I get to what I think I can talk for 1 hour about is what I do. and otherwise I research and try and build it. But there we go. I am going to try and talk about dating after narcissistic abuse tomorrow. If not tomorrow, next week. But I'm thinking tomorrow. If that is a topic that's super triggering, just be forewarned. And I'll try to make it not so triggering and be funny because it's kind of funny. And I'm just going to be talking from my own views and experience, not some, and then adding in what other people say and what they've experienced and any questions you have. So it's not factual. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of, research on this, except for the research I've been doing. This is where I discovered I have a lot of humor. Okay, anyway. So yeah. And dating sites and not dating sites and all the goodies that go in with that. We'll try to do that tomorrow. And yeah. And let's see. That's it. So if you've not hit subscribe, please subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoyed this, please hit the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Also, if you would like a text notification of my going live, I send a text about 10 minutes prior to. Text me at 33222. Put the words Lise Live, Liselive, and you will receive a text, and that's the only text I send. Thank you very much. You guys have a great day, and you guys take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.